be here. Did you enjoy your breakfast? Yes. Good, good. We're going to move around a little bit, so you have about 10 or so minutes just to get to a place where you can leave your plate, because we're going to not be sitting the whole time. Maybe sitting for a lot of the time, but my goal is that this experience today will take you from here with an action plan. Maybe not just an action plan for your work or for the task that you have to do when you get to your office, but maybe it's an action plan for you. And maybe it won't do anything. And we can be okay with that too, right? You know, I was raised in Oakland, California. I was raised by a single mother on welfare. We were poor. My family was in a lot of broke down apartments all over Oakland. We moved a lot. I became a very professional packer. Because oftentimes I would just come home and my mom would be like, "We're moving." I'm like, we still have boxes from the last move. But I didn't get a choice in those matters. I didn't get a choice. Maybe in your life you had a moment where you said, all these things have happened to me. I didn't have any choice in the matter, but now at this point I get to make choices and go forward. You know, being raised without my father, it was challenging. But no one asked me my opinion about it. I just showed up here on the planet and my father was already gone. And my father died before I was born. His father died 10 days, about a week before he died. So leading up to my birth, I lost both my grandfather and my father, and no one asked me my opinion. I mean, if you could have handed me a checklist in the womb and said, "Hey, Ashanti, you're about to come out here in a couple of months. How you want this life thing to work out?" I'd have chosen some different options. I'm like, can I get 2 parents? Oh, check that box. Can I get a nice house instead of a bunch of broke down apartments? If you gave me a choice, I would have chosen some different options, but I didn't really get an opportunity to choose. I would have chosen to live in a city where it was okay for a black boy to be smart. Instead of pretending like I was dumb to hang around people in my neighborhood so they didn't make fun of me, because I don't think people like to be made fun of. Like everywhere where I grew up, it was, you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're a teacher's pet. Everything about being smart was negative, so I learned quickly that you just don't let people see it. You can maybe fake it once in a while, but don't let it be too much. Don't get no tests passed back to you that have really big scores, because people are going to then talk about you. But then you got to hide the test if it's a really good one and be like, "Oh, I don't know, I lost it." So no one has anything to say about it. So growing up, I was under these 2 different sets of rules, like the rules of my mom's house and the rules of the streets of Oakland. Because you can't escape the fact that in order for me to live in Oakland, I have to exist in the streets of Oakland. I didn't have to be a part of the streets, but I had to walk out there, take the garbage out. I had to walk out there and get to school. I had to get to the bus. I had to figure out how to exist in the world, maybe go to the playground once in a while. So I had 2 sets of rules. My mom's rules were really, really easy. Be nice, be kind, be respectful, have empathy, clean up after yourself, say please and thank you. It sounds like a long list, but it's pretty easy to do with being a nice person. But those rules seem to be different when I went to the playground and I tried to play basketball. Right? Because, let me just give you a scenario. I go to the basketball court, I say, "Hi fellas, how are you? I've been standing here for about 2 hours waiting to play. Is it possible that I can play next?" Now, I'm not sure what playgrounds you grew up on, but in Oakland, you are not playing next. You are not playing next. What I learned is that if you want to play next, you walk on the court and you say, "I'm next." That's it. You're not asking, you're not requesting, you are making a declaration. And the one person over there says, "I'm next," actually I'm next. You say, "Well, I'm on your team then." I'm not even asking. And if he says, "Well, I already got my full team," then I say, "Well, I'm after you then." Never am I requesting, "Please, thank you." None of that works out there, at least where I grew up. And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got my mom's rules, and then I got the street rules. Okay, I got to keep them in balance. Let me start here. How many of you have ever heard of this book? All the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. Yeah, a lot of you. Have anybody read it in the last 5 years? Oh, come on. Okay, great. So you probably know what I'm about to do. Okay, so if you haven't read it as an adult, I highly encourage you to do that because I hadn't read it as an adult until the other day. I found it in a store, and I was like, whoa, this is different than what I read when I was 5. When I was 5, I just heard the rhyming words and the cute pictures, but I heard something different a little while ago. So I'm gonna read a little part to you, just so that you can hear the part that I read. It says, congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. Your brain's in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own, and you know what you know, and you're the guy who will decide where to go. Right? He's going somewhere, right? It's going to be the last page, but take a listen. You look up and down streets, look them over with care, and some you'll say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not-so-good street. Any not-so-good street. Am I smart enough not to go down any not-so-good street? Have any of you ever found yourself on a not-so-good street? I thought I was smart. I had rules in my house about how to be nice and kind, but I found myself a lot of times on some not-so-good streets. Some I walked myself there. Some I was in a car with people and it took me there. Some I just showed up thinking I was going to a good place and I ended up on, like, whoa, what happened? I thought I was doing good stuff. Sometimes being on the not so good street was not by choice. It was not by design. It was by just maybe circumstance. But what do you do when you find yourself in the wrong place? On the wrong road? You can either stop and say, I'm getting off of this road. Maybe you have the internal will to say, it's time for me to move to a new road because this road is not working. What if no one around you helps you to see it? What if you think that what you're doing is right? I grew up believing that in my house, I had responsibility. I was a man in my house. I was in charge in my house. Like I was the person who cooked dinner, washed dishes, folded clothes, cleaned up, take care of my brothers and sisters, changed when they were little, change diapers, wash the diapers, make formula. Like I was responsible because my mom had to work to at least try and keep a roof over our heads. I had a lot of responsibility. And what I realized early on was that all these responsibilities I didn't really want. Anybody ever been given some responsibilities you didn't really want? So I'm in all these responsibilities, and I just want to be free. My uncle at 7 years old said, Ashanti, you're the man of the house. What do I know about being a man at 7? I just want to play. I just want to play, have fun, and all those things were set up for me in a different way. So I started there to tell you that I'm not here because I read a bunch of books about what I'm about to tell you about, what I'm about to talk about. I've read some books. I'm not here because I have a degree on something. I don't even know where the paper is. There's a paper somewhere that shows my degree. So if you need proof, I don't even have it. I'm here because I've been on this journey since 7 years old of being told that I was supposed to do something that didn't really feel right and had to figure it out. Be a man, Ashanti. You're the man of the house at 7 years old. Suck it up, tough it up. Don't show any feelings. Men aren't allowed to be fat, sad, or afraid. You can be funny, you can be happy, or you can be like, I don't care. There's not much room in the middle. There's a very short list of what things you have to do to prove to people around you that you're a real man. And one of the things we have to keep doing is keep proving it. You can't just prove it once. Like I can have one fight and prove to those people that I'm a real tough young man in Oakland, but then I got to prove it again tomorrow and the next day. And I got to keep proving it. It's never like I proved it to everyone that I'm man enough. The work that we do in Ever Forward, the work that has come through this campaign that we're starting is about how do we give young men a space to be human? Say that if you feel, you're supposed to feel because that's human. If there's some sadness or some fear or some stuff that comes up, yes, because you're human. I don't have to pretend that I'm always one way or another because society says, here's the list. How many of you have seen The Mask You Live In? How many of you have seen the documentary? Okay, so some of you haven't. Great. So it's an opportunity for you to go see it. The documentary is about American masculinity. and how America's hyper-masculine narrative of what it means to be a man is really hurting our boys. Our boys continue to have to prove that they're tough enough, that they're man enough, that they can suck it up enough. They can always be in control and have all the answers, and have all the money, and have all the things, and have all the muscles, and have all the athleticism, even when they don't like sports. Even when they don't like sports. Imagine a 6'5", 6'6" young man. He walks into a room. He's probably going to be asked several times, what do you play? I mean, if you're a young man, that's athletic body. So we expect this young man to be athletic. What if he says, I don't like sports? And you may be in your mind be like, oh, no problem. Let that young man walk into a group of men and say that. How they look at you. As an adult male, I was on a plane the other day, somewhere, and the guy pulled up some short small talk. I'm not really into small talk, but okay. And he said, so, you're from Oakland. You like the Raiders? And I said, nah, I don't really watch football anymore. And I felt his head like rotate slowly to like look at me, to like look as if I was actually human. He was like, you don't watch football? I was like, nah, I'm not really into it right now. And because I do this work for a living, in my mind, I was like, I should ask him. I should say something. I felt him staring at me. I felt it. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be a good conversation. But this plane just hasn't taken off yet, so I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's ready to talk into what he's projecting on me right now, that I can feel it. He hasn't said anything. He doesn't need to say a word. Do you know that sometimes you don't have to say a word? Do you know that sometimes people can feel the way your energy changes around them when they say an answer that doesn't match your paradigm of how a man, a big black man, should think and respond? I told him, I like wrestling. Hulk Hogan is the best. I didn't know what else to say. It was like, I didn't want to argue. So, the journey of how we connect with each other, how we have set rules around each other and boundaries and borders to say, here's how you have to show up. If you're in this body, here's what you should be thinking like. Here's what you should wear. Here's how you should talk. Here's how you should walk. And those things are restricting. And if you ever felt restricted before, if you ever felt like you were supposed to do something because you inhabited a body that you were born into, that you may not have chosen, that you may not even feel like it matches what you identify as. But hopefully if it does, then great. But if it doesn't, then what do you do then? When everybody's saying, you shouldn't be wearing that. That's not manly. Why are you wearing that color? Why are you doing that? Why can't I just do what I think is good for me? As long as I'm not hurting anyone else. So, I'm going to move into this last part of the story so I can get you ready for this activity. Take a deep breath. Now I'm going to tell you a story that is part of my existence, and there's going to be some rough parts in the story. I just want you to know that I'm telling you this story just because I think that it will help you to get understanding a little bit more of some of the challenges that I, as a young man, dealt with in growing up in Oakland. And this place, I met some incredible young men yesterday, and we had a chance to do some real talk with each other, and that was the most powerful. I had a really good time with them yesterday. So, when I was 17 years old, I got my act together. In middle school, I was on the wrong road, and a teacher saved my life with one sentence. She said, life doesn't give you what you want, life gives you what you get, and you got to make the most out of it. And that's when I realized that all the things that had happened to me up until that point had happened to me. I didn't really have a choice in the matter because I wasn't even conscious that I could do anything different. But at that moment, it all changed. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean I go to college, I work hard, get into college, go to college, get a good job, make a lot of money, I can live happily ever after? You mean that can happen? Yes. Check. I signed up for that. So get to high school, I'm on track. Like I'm on my way. I'm taking care of homework, I'm doing all my work, I'm on my way to college. I am a senior in high school, 17 years old. I got accepted to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo to study engineering. I got 8 copies of the letter on my wall. Why 8? I don't know. I just know if I lose one, that I've got proof that they still accepted me. Like, the letter is printed all over. And so I'm on my way to college. I get home from wrestling practice, and my mom and her husband at the time, she got married when I was like 12, 13, but she got married to a jerk. You know, I had grown up without a father my whole life, and I was hoping for a father one day, and she married a man who didn't even love us. I could tell. So the night of the wedding was the first fight. Like, I thought it was in a movie. And so mind you, by the time I turned 17, I've been hearing many fights, and so I ignore the verbal fights because that's just what happens. They just argue all the time. They fight all the time. Okay. I become desensitized to it. But I'm home from wrestling practice. I go in the refrigerator, and I'm looking for some food because I'm hungry. And there's usually never food in there. I just like to practice and be like, maybe one day there's going to be like some kind of thing happening inside the refrigerator there. And I hear my mom yelling, and I'm like zoning it out. But then I heard my mom say something that kind of shocked me. So she said, I wish you would. Now, the only reason I heard that part, the only reason I paid attention, because I knew that my mom, she's like a rapper, right? She like plays with words. So when she says, and I have a black mama, just so you know. So when she says, I wish you would, she actually means you better not. Because I had tested her lyrical magic many times. She'd be like, I wish you would get here after 11 p.m. I'm like, that's easy. Your wish is granted. Like, I wish you would come here without that report card. I'm like, that report card is already lost. So I learned very young that I wish you would was actually just a play on words for her. So here's what she said. I wish you would put your hands on me. Now, I had seen and heard many verbal arguments. I had never seen any physical violence. So I'm like, what? I know the code word, but I wish you would. So I turn the corner, I go toward the room, and as I get to the doorway, I see my mom hit the floor. Now, I'm 17, I'm a mama's boy, I love my mom. There's nobody I love more than my mom. And that vision in front of me took me into a place I don't remember a lot of the story, but I'm gonna tell you the story I already remember. So I saw my mom hit the floor. I run in because my job as the man of the house, at least that's what my role was given to my uncle, was to protect my mom and my sister and my brother. So I ran in to go and get this man, and he was way stronger than me, way bigger than me. And he held me by my throat up against the wall. And he said, what are you going to do about it? He was just yelling, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And I couldn't even breathe. My mom was saying, let him go, let him go. So he finally lets me go. I'm like trying to just catch my breath, and then I just run out of the house. I jump in my beat up car, I run around the corner to a friend's house, and I go in, I'm like, give me a gun. Now, unfortunately, we have lots of challenges in our community around gun violence, and the saddest part of that narrative is that, like, I knew where to get things like that from in my community. Now, if you knew me, I never touched a gun. I had many guns pulled out on me in Oakland, but I had never touched a gun. I had never shot a gun. So my friend, who knows I'm on my way to college, he's like, shut up. What are you talking about? You hungry? Go get some food. Because I would usually go to his house for food, because he always had food. I was like, listen, I don't have time to talk right now. Like, I don't know what's happening to my mom at my house, but I need, either you're going to give it to me, or I'll go around the corner and give it to someone else. Now, the narrative in that part is, yes, unfortunately, he knew that around the corner, there was somebody else who would also have access to that kind of stuff. And he's like, look, what's going on with you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you need? I'll help you whatever you need help with. And I said to him, it's my job to take care of her. So he goes upstairs, comes back with a paper bag, hands me a paper bag. I get in my car, drive back to my house on the wrong side of the street. I park in front of my house. I get out of the car. I get ready to get out of the car, and I grab the paper bag. And as I turn to get out, I see the front page of, I see my porch, but I see also the front page of the Oakland Tribune. I see myself being marched down the steps by police, and the headline is something like, a college-bound senior, future over. College-bound athlete destroys his future in a moment. My mom's on the back of the porch crying. And it wasn't in that moment where I caught my breath and I cried. Like I was afraid and I was sad. But even though I was on my way to college, I still was clear that my community wasn't okay with afraid and sad boys and men. I knew anger was respected. So I was in a rage, you could say, and in that moment I caught my breath and I cried because I was scared that I couldn't protect my mom with all the strength I possibly had. I was sad that I had this enemy living in my house that I don't even have the strength to even help, like the only person I love in the world. But in that moment, I didn't know how to deal with sadness and fear. I knew how to deal with anger. And so the fact that I'm standing here today, free, alive and free, is because somehow I was able to catch a breath. And you know, I've seen young men all over the world who get to these moments of rage and they don't have any tools to catch a breath. To recognize that what I'm doing right now is not really what I want to be doing, but I'm operating out of this desire to do what I was told I was supposed to do, because here's what a real man would do. And so today I'm here alive and free. Thank goodness I was able to catch my breath in that moment. So the work that we do at Ever Forward, the work that the Ever Forward Club does, is about helping young men get some tools to navigate when those emotions come over you. So that when I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling embarrassed, I'm feeling afraid, I can deal with them in really healthy ways. I don't turn everything into anger and then I'm operating off of an emotion that's not actually the one that I'm dealing with or that I'm experiencing. And that's what we talk about the mask. That's what we get to this place where we get ready to talk about the mask. So the activity that we're going to be doing, I'll fast forward. So I didn't go to college. I went to graduate in engineering and then I became a teacher. In 2004 as a first year teacher, I was failing. I was badly. I was like, there are kids in my class failing my class. Why are you failing my class? Like, I love you. I love math. We should get along. And I realized that it wasn't about the math. It's about they had a belief about how they should be as students that I couldn't somehow see behind because I was an adult at that point. And it wasn't until I invited some young men to lunch and I said to them, look, I'll buy you lunch once a week. In exchange for lunch, teach me how to be a better teacher. Like, tell me what I'm doing wrong because I'll fix it if it's fixable. And those young men began to talk about it. It ain't cool to be smart. I ain't gonna be no nerd, no geek, no teacher's pet. Oh yeah, that's what I used to believe. But that teacher in 8th grade caught me. Why didn't anybody catch you? Why didn't you have an 8th grade teacher who caught you and got you off the wrong road so that you could find the right road? Like, no one caught them by the time I saw them in 9th grade as a freshman algebra teacher. Like, why hasn't anybody caught you yet? And that's when I realized that my job was to catch the ones who weren't being caught before. Or do the best I could to put a net out to say, hey, there's more to you. There's more to each of you in this room than anybody could ever see by looking at you. There's more to every person you see, that you meet, than you could ever know just by looking at them. But we sometimes do a lot of judging with our eyes. We let our eyes fool us. To tell us, oh, I know what that person's like. Oh, I know what that person's thinking. Oh, I know what that person is about. And we usually know nothing. Relative. So, here's where we go. The activity is about to start. So, I told you the story just so I want you to be clear that I'm here and I'm going to do this activity with you. Like, it is because I've been doing this activity around the world that I'm clear more about my story and how I got to this point right here. Can somebody here tell me what the purpose of a mask is? Like, what is the purpose? Why do people use masks? What are they used for? Hide your identity. Pretend to be something different. To hide. To blend in. To cover up. You said shame? Yeah, to cover up. Thank you. To pretend, yeah. Say the last part. Yeah, project what's expected. Absolutely. So is it? Protect yourself, yeah. Try on new identities. Awesome, those are fantastic answers. I was at an elementary school for an 8-year-old who was having a meltdown season, and I said to him, "What are masks for?" And he said, "To scare people." I said, "Anything else?" He's like, "Nope." I said, all right. So for all your answers, and for that 8-year-old who thinks masks are to scare people away, we're going to talk about masks for this next part. So it's beautiful. In the work that we're doing at Ever Forward in this campaign, so what you just experienced was a part of what's called the 100,000 Mask Challenge. We've been collecting masks since the documentary all around the world. We've collected about 25,000 masks, and we're in the early stages of it. We have a long way to go, but we're in a really good space where we can start looking at some patterns. We're not telling anyone that masks are bad. What we're trying to help people recognize is that we have them. We may sometimes or all the time wear them, and to be aware if there's spaces that you can actually take it off. Because if you get to a place where you don't recognize you're wearing a mask, it may have become all what you are. You may not recognize there's more to you than what you are showing people, and maybe you just change the mask from every room you go to so that you can be in those spaces, but maybe you don't recognize there's way more to you still. And if you're a person who works with children, young people, teenagers, other humans, and you have forgotten that you have a mask, then maybe you don't give people permission to be having their own mask. Maybe you judge them based on what you see, and you think you know everything, but you really don't know. You really have no idea. You may know something. Oh, this person's showing up late to work. This student not turning his homework. My son's hanging out with the knucklehead friends. Like whatever the scenario may be, you may say, well, don't do that. That's going to fix it. But if you don't know what's really going on with the connection, with what's happening behind the mask and what you do see, these friends that this person hanging out with, the person showing up late to work, like all the scenarios you can imagine that you may exist on your daily basis, what's behind that? That's what we're trying to help people see with the mask. So I agree. I got mine. I'm clear about mine. I'm clear when I have to take them on and put it off, and I'm in this place, I gotta have this kind. When I go to a grant meeting, I gotta have this mask, right? I'm clear about the work that I have to do and where I have to be. But you know, sometimes when I get to my men's team, I'm on a men's team. I meet with my men every Tuesday night from 7 to 10 p.m. I get a place where I can just be like, I don't have it all together. I'm struggling. I never wanted to run a nonprofit. I didn't even want to be a teacher. I had a plan that by 45 I was going to retire. I was going to be an engineer, I was going to own my own construction company, and I was going to retire at 45. I had it planned out at 17. I was clear what I was going to do. I went to college, graduated, engineer, working, and then something inside of me said, you know what? You're not supposed to be an engineer. I'm like, of course I am. I'm already an engineer. The certificate is on the wall. But when that thing inside of you says you're supposed to be doing something else, and you're like, no, not me. I'm clear that sometimes the mask that I have to wear is like, okay, I just wanted to make a lot of money and be happy. And I'm clear that the work I get to do that makes me totally happy every day, working with young people, working with adults, and working with people who work with young people, makes me truly happy, even though it doesn't fulfill a financial desire to live a certain lifestyle. How do you fight against that? How do you constantly walk into the office every day, happy, knowing that I really want to be making more money? And I'm thinking about all the things that I could be doing if I was making more money, but I'm doing the work I really love to be doing. And how do you have that battle inside? I don't tell people about it usually, but I'm clear about it. And so in the work that we do with adults, with young people, so I'm giving people space to know that, yes. And the next step of the mask is, when do you give other people permission to take theirs off with you? Like, there's nothing magic in the card we created. We give the card away all around the world. We ask people to do this with your teams, do it with your families, do it with your community. Like, let other people have space to be more human than they have been able to maybe around you. Little by little, people can recognize, wow, there's more to other people than I ever would have known. There's more to myself than I ever would have let people see. And so the action steps are small, but I think they're huge. If you could take one of these cards, there's some on the table outside when you leave. There'll be some cards out there. You can take one, take two, take five. And sometime this week or the next couple of weeks, like you meet somebody that you know, and you're like, hey, I did this activity with this dude asking me to talk about myself, and I was supposed to be at breakfast, and he's asking me about personal stuff. Like, I don't know. But you want to do it with me? How about, can we do this thing together? He told me to try it with someone. Like, maybe you just go to someone and say, can you do this activity with me? I heard about this activity. Go and do it. And whether you decide to exchange the cards at that moment or not, or just talk about what that experience was like, to write about it. And then ask that person that you're sitting with, say, hey, can I show you mine? Whether they show you theirs or not, just, can I show you mine? Because everyone has a choice of what they write. It's a free choice. It's like whatever words you come up with. And I think that is, for me, the easiest thing that people can do. And when you find one person that you can let know that they can see you for more than you are, and you can see them for more than what they've been showing, and that connection gets deeper, and then maybe they can build a deeper connection with somebody else, and they can build a deeper connection with somebody else, and hopefully we can begin to see that there's a lot of happening in our world today that's causing us to not think that we have anything in common. And I believe that we have way more in common than we ever think. And so it's a simple step, but it maybe sounds too simple. But try it. Stay in touch with what we're doing. When you leave here today, I'm going to look at the clock again because I want to make sure I'm getting here on time. Okay. When you leave today, out on the table, there's going to be some cards, some blank cards. If you feel like you want to do this activity in your school, work, family, place, like just send us an email and we'll mail you cards. We give them away. And there's a gift in return we're looking for. After you've experienced a learning out of them, then just send the cards back to us. They're anonymous. The only way that we're going to hit our goal of 100,000 masks is that people, when they experience the activity and the learning from it, they share the cards back with us, and we have cards from all over the world now. And we have a long way to go still. And also on the table, when you go outside, there's going to be a heart. A heart. This heart is made of a shell. And the heart is connected to a quote that says, the longest distance that most people travel is the 18 inches between their head and their heart. And a lot of times we get stuck in our head. And so the heart is a reminder to stay connected to your heart. When was the last time you connected to your heart? That's the question I'll leave you with today. And as you get inside and as you clearly place yourself in this understanding that maybe I've been operating out of my head so much that I don't even know what my heart thinks anymore. Maybe I've been told that I got to act this certain way, I got to feel this certain way, and it doesn't even match what I really think, but I don't even know what I feel anymore. I hope that you leave here today with an idea that the next person you meet, whether they're the barista at the cafe, or they're the waiter at the restaurant, or they're the owner of a business, that there's way more to them than you're ever going to see. And the way we get to know people better is sometimes to care. If you don't care, don't ask. But if you care, maybe you just say, hey, can we sit down and have a real talk? It doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes the desire to get out of the judgment space and get into the learning and loving and caring space. That's the work that we're trying to do around the world. That's how we believe we can make the world a better place. But I want to thank you for coming out this morning. Thank you for being in this space. Thank you for participating. Thank you for giving your best.